everybody. Welcome to your horoscopes for this week. This is for the week ending 12/13/14. Think about it. We're not going to get that kind of number sequence for several more years yet. This is the last year we're going to have it, at least until 2021? Wow. Okay, yes. Before we get started, though, I want to mention the 13 card tarot for 2015. 3 weeks, guys, and then it's gone until next year. So September of next year. So make sure that you get your orders in for that reading before it goes away for the year. We're going to go ahead and get started right now with Aries. Did you know it's all about you this week, Aries? And you're going to be taking some time here reflecting on the things that make you your best ally, and also in some ways the things that kind of sort of hold you back, or showcase where you're kind of getting in your own way. And when I say getting in your own way, I'm talking about different mindsets and fears that have a tendency to kind of sort of stop you from your progress. And it's not just mindsets. In some cases, it's different situations around you. We've got some good stuff and we've got some challenges going on with the planets. And we're going to start with the good stuff, where Uranus is trined with the Sun and Mercury all week long this week. The Sun and Mercury being in Sagittarius. And this is going to actually create some beautiful possibilities for you when it comes to achieving your long-term goals. Now, it's a lot of energy, and if you feel pulled to just throw yourself into these goals, now's the time to do it. And we're talking educational goals, career goals, building yourself up goals. That's what it's all about for you this week in terms of this trine. Now, for one day, when the moon moves into Leo on Thursday, we have a one-day grand fire trine. So that's all three of the fire signs with planetary action in there to help give you a boost. And fire energy is beautiful energy. It's kinetic energy. It's forward movement energy. It's if you feel like you just got to do something, this is what happens during a fire trine, especially a grand fire trine. So it's absolutely beautiful energy to not only boost you in the right direction with your goals, but it also helps you make time in your schedule to fit those things in there too. Now, there is a challenge. Of course, there's that square with Pluto, which isn't going away anytime soon, and that is a little bit of a challenge, especially when it comes to those that you love or those that love you. Family members, any kind of little difficulties or issues there with family members. And when the moon moves into Cancer on Tuesday, Monday and Tuesday, it is going to form a T-square there. That's going to be a bit of an issue, especially if you feel like you're standing in the middle of two people having an argument. And it's one of those things that where this is the same old, same old. You've been through this before. You want to take yourself out of the middle of that because you don't belong there anymore. Let them hash it out. Let them get through it and move on. You don't have to be the fix-it person all the time for these particular situations. But this is a great week for you guys to get some things done. It's a great week for you guys to kind of sort of not get over things necessarily, but work through some of those things that have been getting in your way, put them away, and move forward into different possibilities. A lot of awesomeness going on for you guys. So you guys have a great week with that. Taurus, memories from the past create what you are today. Different situations that have happened to you in your past are definitely what's responsible for creating the person that you are today. And these are good and bad things, really. For instance, when it comes to situations such as abuse as children, we can either become the victim or we can rise above it and become an advocate against things like child abuse and grow past these things. This is what this week is all about. It's about taking those things and really identifying how they're helping you, not necessarily how they're holding you back. And remember, you guys always have a choice whether or not they're going to help you or hold you back. Bottom line is, though, is that really it's a beautiful time to reflect on yourself, the beautiful things about yourself, not nitpicking the things that you don't like or counting all those wrinkles on your face or whatever it is. It's about looking in that mirror and saying, I love me. I love how loving I am. I love how giving I am. I love how I can fix things. I love how whatever it is that you do that makes you unique and beautiful, it's time to take a look at those things and learn to stop looking at the bad things. Like, I'm not as good with money, or I'm not as good with this or that, or what have you. When you talk about self love is all about unconditionally loving and accepting every part of yourself, not just the good, but the not so good things too. And of course, we know about those not so good things. You have the power to change those things whenever you want. So take a chance, give yourself that chance, and see the changes that you can make, and also be open to seeing the beauty inside yourself. I guarantee you're not going to regret it. And you guys have a great week with that. Gemini, it's time to get out of your heads this week. It's all focused in thinking, in the mind, and how you think. And Geminis have a tendency to think on many different levels, all at the same time. Many different things, sometimes all at the same time. And when it comes to a situation, maybe even an emotional situation, really being in your head too much, or too much thinking about it, really gets in the way of being able to actually work through that situation. So this week, it's all about changing that thought pattern rather than letting it go on and on and on and on and on. Look at it, stop it, tell it to stop. Force yourself to think about something else instead. If it's a negative thought pattern that keeps coming up, it's time to work on changing that pattern to a positive pattern. Identify it, release it, change it, and move on. Before you know it, you will have changed the way you think without even realizing that that's what you've done, and without even realizing just how easy it really can be. And it can be difficult, but it can be easy too. It's all about how you think about it up here. So this week is all about identifying those mindsets, especially those negative ones. And if something keeps coming up over and over and over again, chances are it's time to work through that process. So you guys are awesome, and have a great week with that. Cancer, the moon starts off your sign this week, Sunday and Monday, and it does bring some challenges, although it does bring a couple of things that help out a little bit too. A trine with Neptune does help out, especially in the beginning of the week, allowing you to identify and see some real deep-seated issues from the past that need to be worked through. And of course, these challenges, specifically a T-square that happens on Monday between Uranus and Pluto, is really going to be a big one for you. Now, we're focused all in those that we love this week for you guys. And that's, of course, one of the best places that Cancers can be. They're absolutely beautiful when it comes to taking care of those that they love. But at the same time, it can be a very difficult problem when there's just one of those relationships that just seems to be a difficulty a lot. And that can be a problem for sure. If you find that you are in a situation like this, with a relationship like this, it's really time to step out of how it keeps on going the way that it's going and find a way to change it. Sometimes changing the way you communicate about that relationship, or even the way you communicate in that relationship, because both of them have a little bit of fuel there for that relationship. When you change your ways of communication, oftentimes that is a really big help to changing the relationship as a whole. You don't always have to omit the relationship. It is possible to change things, and it takes one person, doesn't matter which one, it takes one person to make the change in order for the other one to kind of sort of start making the change also. On Monday or Tuesday, as the moon is leaving, it is going to go into opposition with Mars as the moon's moving into Leo, and that might be a little bit of a difficulty also, especially when it comes to aggressive relationships. If you find yourself in one of those relationships where the other person tends to be a little bit on the aggressive side, now is the time to put your foot down and kind of sort of say, enough's enough. Not dealing with this anymore. Know your worth. That's the most important thing for you guys. With everything that you do, especially for these people that are being a little bit too aggressive right now, it's time for you to put your foot down and say, you know what? I don't think so, buddy. Not dealing with this one today. So don't let it get you down. Don't let it drag you down. Don't let it feel like it's pulling you down into a hole. That's not what the challenge is all about. The challenge is about facing it, identifying it, saying your piece, and moving on with it. Once the moon moves on and gets out of your sign, things are going to be a little bit easier for you guys. Still focused on those you love, of course, but not in a difficult or aggressive way. So whatever you guys do this week, you guys have an awesome week with that. Leo, you may be feeling a little bit emotional this week, especially when it comes to those that you love. And as the moon moves into your sign on Wednesday, Jupiter goes retrograde. And we're almost at a point where all the planets are going direct, but then Jupiter goes retrograde. And unfortunately, Jupiter's retrogrades last about 5 to 7 months or so. So it's going to be retrograde for a while in your sign, unfortunately. Retrogrades are not the worst thing in the world, but they do create a little bit of a difficulty at times. And this week, as the moon moves into your sign and moves into opposition Wednesday and Thursday with Mars, you may find a little bit of difficulty in your relationships. Mars is aggressive, can be very aggressive, but also at the same time can be very ambitious. So it kind of will go either way. Either you're dealing with someone who has a little bit too much ambition and you're worried that they might be going too far too fast, or you might be dealing with a little bit of aggression with somebody around you. Now, this is only going to last for a couple of days. It's not going to be that big of a deal. The main lesson here is to try not to worry so much over this particular person, especially if their ambition seems to be way bigger than they are. The truth is that this may be their lesson. It's always their lesson, and it's up to you to allow them to learn that lesson. Of course, give your advice and state your piece, but you cannot and do not have any control over what that person's going to do overall. You may just have to kind of sort of take a step back and let them fall on their face if that's what they're going to do. Also, when it comes to these things, being worried about them or having that fear for them really kind of gets in the way. So you want to try and avoid that as much as possible and see them be successful, even if it seems like an absolutely crazy idea or it seems like maybe it's too big for them. They just may need your help and support and not your worries and your fears, because the truth is they could get through this and actually do a pretty amazing job with it when you think about it. So eliminate the fears a little bit. When it comes to this square with Saturn and Jupiter, it's almost done. It'll be done by the end of this month, but this week it is very much still there, and it's hitting you in the pocketbook in terms of finances. Now, especially with that Jupiter retrograde coming in, it may feel like your finances are a difficulty, or you're having a hard time expanding in that area. Again, don't put too much energy into the negatives on this and worrying about it and all these things. It keeps the situation where it is. Find new ways or new outlets to be able to generate a little bit of income. We can always do that. We are not set on just a 9 to 5 job at any time. You can always sell something. You can always craft something. You can always do all different kinds of things. The possibilities really are endless. So whatever it is that you do this week, make sure you believe wholeheartedly in what you can do and what the others around you can do, and whatever it is, have an awesome week with it. Virgo, boredom is probably one of the worst things that can happen to a Virgo. A bored Virgo is an unhappy Virgo. And if you find yourself this week feeling like the same old routine that you've been going through is just not working for you, the dark moon still in your sign is saying, hey, time to change that. If you feel like you're waiting around for something to happen, because timing is everything and it may not be time right now to get started on it, or possibly it's just you've been doing the same thing, getting up, going to work, blah blah blah, mundane, then it's time to kind of shake it up a bit. Bring something exciting into your life, whether it's learning a new craft or whether it's picking up something that you used to do that you weren't doing before or something. Anything. This week is all about bringing something into your life that kind of sort of breaks up the monotony of what the day to day is. Now, the end of the week on Friday and Saturday, the moon is in your sign and she is coming in to cause some complications. Not a whole lot of help, unfortunately, or positive aspects. It's mainly complications. And on Friday, she forms a T square between Saturn and Neptune, and finances are definitely going to be on your mind. At the same time, because of that aspect there and that opposition with Neptune, lasts through Friday and Saturday. This is an old pattern. This is an old emotional pattern or an old thought process when it comes to finances. You get a little bit ahead, and then it seems like somebody yanks you back. And then you get a little bit ahead, and it seems like somebody yanks you back. It's time to put a stop to that one altogether. And as soon as you think things are going so good, something's going to come in here to screw it up. Hey, guess what? Something's going to come in there to screw it up. So this challenge is all about identifying where you're keeping this negative aspect or negative challenge going in your life. Because the truth is, nobody else does it but us. And that's what it comes down to. Whatever anybody else in our life does, it really has no effect on you yourself unless you allow that power or give them that power. So take that power back into your own hands because it's yours and you don't want to give it to anybody else. Other than that, it's an absolutely great week for you guys to make possibilities, create new things, or like I said, do something that you used to do that you love to do that you didn't have time for a while. Regardless of what it is, make it a great week, guys. Libra, the port of fortune shines in your sign this week from Sunday through Tuesday, shining luck in your relationship house today. This week it's all about spending some time with those most important people. After this really, really, really busy schedule, and it's crazy right now, the energy is crazy right now with so many comings and goings in the holiday season and the end of the year and wrapping up different projects. It's time to slow down and spend some time with those that you love. And at the same time, you may find yourself feeling as if you want to spend that time, but the others in your life may not have the time for you. Use your words and say something. Don't sit and sulk about it. Say something, and not in an aggressive way, but speak from the heart. We haven't had a lot of time together, and I would love nothing more than to be able to spend some time with you, just us, or what have you. And chances are more than likely that person has been thinking the same thing, but they're also been very busy and haven't had enough time to really sit down and think about it. So you may be making the other person's day. You never even know, right? So don't hesitate. Use that Venus love energy that you guys are so good at and just simply come out and say it. Hey, I need some time. Let's spend some time. Let's go do something fun. Let's go do something just the two of us or all of us as a family, what have you, whatever it takes. Because feeling that love is just such a beautiful and awesome feeling for you guys. And it's about time that you took some time just to quiet down your life and feel that love. So you guys have an awesome week with that. Scorpio, Saturn's on his way out. Oh my goodness. And taking his sweet darn time doing it. He's actually about 28 to 29 degrees this week in your sign. Very last little bump until he moves on to Sagittarius. Although you will feel his effects for a few weeks after while he's still cusped in between the two signs. And he is making money situations a little bit difficult for you this week, especially since he's squared with two planets now instead of just one. And that would be Jupiter and Neptune. Jupiter's square really makes it difficult for you to make time in your schedule in order to make any extra funds that you may need. Or it may seem like no matter what you do, you can't put those types of things in your schedule, as if in these kind of instances, or examples of instances like this would be, I've got the time, I want to work, but you can't find a job or something like that. And that creates a lot of frustration. At the same time, his square with Neptune is all about old, deep-seated emotions. And when it comes down to it, some of these old mindsets or thought patterns, especially those that are deeply rooted in childhood, may have something to do with this feeling of your hands tied behind your back and you can't do what it is that you want to do. Think about that and make sure that you're not feeding an old issue that really needs to be let go of and moved on from. The good news is that his aspects with Mars in Aquarius are beautiful, especially when it comes to the responsibilities with those that you love and your financial responsibilities. Perhaps it's time to kind of come together and use these people, not in a negative way, of course, but use them. They're very valuable people. And you Scorpios really know how to how to bring valuable people to you. They're just like, you're like a magnet to them. Use them. Again, not in a negative way, but in a positive way. Partnerships are great right now, especially in terms of business partnerships. But it really comes down to believing in yourself. If you feel for 1 minute that this idea isn't going to happen, hey, guess what? It's not. It's time to believe in what you can do. And that is what this aspect with Mars is all about. You have a very large cheerleading squad there. A lot of you do. Use them, listen to them, and whatever it is that you guys do, make sure that you go above and beyond. You know you can do, and have an awesome week with that. Sagittarius, happy birthday to all the Sagittarians born this week. You guys have such a beautiful energy and so many different things going on. We're going to say goodbye to Venus this week in your sign because she's moving on to Capricorn, but you still have the Sun and Mercury. And the Sun and Mercury are going to be in perfect conjunction with each other this week, really working closely together to help you shine and communicate your needs, especially when it comes to those goals that are the most important to you. And these are goals that promote growth and stability and forward movement, either in your career or in some cases, your education, higher education and learning, or your own personal growth, because that has a lot to do with things too. We've got a good trine with Uranus all week long, making you shine, being you, or giving you the opportunity to be able to shine, being exactly who you are. And truly, Sagittarians really can't be anything else but themselves. They perform the best when it comes to them being absolutely themselves. Now on Thursday, there's a 1-day grand fire trine when your schedule opens up to be able to make these possibilities happen. So that excuse of I never have time, out the window. This day is a beautiful day to incorporate those things that you need to do for you in your schedule also. Yes, you want to take care of everybody else around you, but take care of number one first. And I know Sagittarians have no problem calling themselves number one because they are just absolutely so awesome. Truth of the matter is that there's definitely a lot of beautiful things going on for you. At the same time as Saturn is moving into your sign and cusping on the cusp of Scorpio and Sagittarius, you are going to feel his aspects there a little bit, and they're very challenging aspects. Now, there's a couple of things going on with that, and especially in regards to finances. Don't let finances hold you back from what it is that you want to do. Money isn't what gets you where you need to go, although I agree, money is needed in many cases. But at the same time, money's not going to hold you back unless you say, well, I can't do it because I don't have the money. Find other ways of doing it, and there's always other ways of doing it. There's always ways of creating or generating that income, or bartering in some cases. Partnerships are really good too, especially with Saturn's aspect with Mars and Aquarius. We're talking about those who love you, your cheerleading squad. They're there to help you, they're there to back you up. Use them. Again, not in a negative way, but in a positive way, because that's what they're there for. And you know what? They can't do anything if you don't ask. So think about that, guys. Whatever it is that you do, reach for the stars, touch the moon because you know that you can, and have an awesome week with that. Capricorn, get ready to feel the love as Venus moves into your sign this week, shining her beautiful energy when it comes to your career, especially those career goals you love. She's going to bring this beautiful positive energy to you to help you achieve the goals that you have set out to achieve. Also, with Pluto there, of course, there is a little bit of a negative aspect there with his square with Uranus, and on Sunday and Monday, there will be a T-square when it comes to the moon being in Cancer. And that's going to create a little bit of a difficulty too, especially when it feels like those that you love and care for might be getting a little bit in the way of those career goals, or you feel like you feel yourself being pulled in those two different directions. You always have the ability to make time for both at the same time, but also, if you're feeling the pressure when it comes to your career goals and these loved ones can take care of themselves, let them do it. This is one of the things about Capricorns. You're so hands-on, and you want to make sure that everybody's well taken care of, but at the same time, part of their growth is to allow them to grow on their own in some cases. Don't be afraid to do that. It's not that you don't love them. Remember, Venus is in there reminding you about love. It's not that you don't love them. It's that you love them enough to allow them to grow individually on their own. So really, really, really important. We're not helping them if we're helping them too much. And it's really important to remember that. Venus calls for you to love yourself as much as you love your dreams. And when it comes down to it, it is all about you. You can be yourself and do what you want to do, achieve these goals. It's all about being unique to you. You don't have to be somebody else. So be unique to yourself, even if it seems a little bit uncomfortable, because the truth is, the reason why you're so successful is because you are you. Think about that and have a great week. Aquarius, Mars puts you in a bit of a position this week to help you take care of your financial responsibilities, and also puts you in a position to be surrounded in a big way by those that you love, who can help you also take care of those financial responsibilities. It's never be afraid to ask. And this is a big problem for most Aquarians, at least it is for this Aquarian. Don't like to ask for help, right? A lot of Aquarians are like that, but Mars is there saying, hey, they're there. You have a support group. Lean on them. Use them. Not in a negative way, of course, but, they're there and they're willing. So allow them to do their job. Allow them to help you out. You've helped them out so many times. You're denying them the blessing if you don't allow them to step in and do something for you. This week, it's all about getting the energy together to make that money. If money is what you need, then it's time to make some. And there's so many different ways that you can do it. Sitting there and thinking about it, not going to happen. Actually doing it, definitely going to happen. And Mars energy in your sign this week is really going to be pushing you in the direction of making things happen. Mars doesn't sit around and wait for things to happen. Mars gets up and does things. So if you're feeling restless this week, that's Mars, and it's going to be that way at least for the rest of this month. There is going to be a bit of an issue when the moon moves into just at the end of Cancer and into Leo, about Tuesday and Wednesday, when the moon moves into opposition with Mars. And this is going to create a little bit of an issue, especially if you're feeling an issue between yourself and somebody else in your life, one of your loved ones. And this can actually bring up some very aggressive feelings there, because Mars can also be very aggressive. It's really important not to get overly frustrated and aggressive, but to really look and understand the situation. Why does this keep coming up? If it keeps coming up, there is something to learn in this particular situation. Now, it may not be something that can change the situation. It's something that you need to learn for you inside yourself, not necessarily about the other person. Once you get that, at that particular point, you can determine in this relationship whether or not the relationship is needed to stay there or not. But if the relationship is meant to be and is meant to stay there, the relationship will start to change in a positive way. So do yourself a favor, because getting overly upset about things is also uncomfortable on the health. Let that part of you go. Look at the situation, look at yourself, see what you can do to change yourself, and see how the relationship itself may be able to change afterwards. You guys are awesome at making those changes, so do a good job and have a great week with that. And finally, Pisces. Neptune has been so positively sitting in Pisces now for the entire year. Rarely, very few negative aspects with Neptune, except for the occasional moon opposition. And that, unfortunately, is about to change as Neptune moves into that square position with Saturn, which is going to be there for a while. It creates a very heavy place indeed for you when it comes to finances this week, and it will continue to create that little bit of a heaviness for the next few months, at least in different aspects of your life. But this week, it's all about finances. And if you just feel like you can never get ahead, it's always the same old, no matter what it is that you do, you can never get ahead. This is all about, this is something that's been going on for a really long time with you guys. This is a deep-seated emotional issue that needs to be addressed. This fear of not having that security, this fear of not being comfortable is rooted somewhere else in your past. And this challenge is saying it's time to move past that. It's time to not allow that to hold you back anymore, but rather instead find new ways of being able to see these situations. Again, when you worry about not having any money, you're not going to have any money. And that worry is just going to elongate this process. So it's time to change that around a little bit. Don't see yourself as struggling. See yourself as doing better. See yourself as getting what you want. See yourself as achieving your goals. You never know. It could work, but you won't know if it's going to work unless you try. And you guys are awesome at being able to create new things. So why not give it a shot? And you guys have a great week with that. Thank you again for listening. I'm Melissa Bruce, the Heavy Metal Psychic. Don't forget to check out Grateful Fairy Wings Faithfuls. It's facebook.com/groups/Grateful Fairy Wings on Facebook. We've got chats. We've got all kinds of new classes that are about to start up. Group classes are starting up again at the beginning of the year, and we're still doing individual one-on-one classes this month because it's easier to get scheduled with one person during this crazy season than it is, unfortunately, all of the groups. And of course, fairymothersdream.webs.com, you've got my services, Fairy Mother services, Wings to Soar services, and Grateful Dave services. All different kinds of readings from 3 absolutely amazing readers. Yes, I called myself an amazing reader because I know my own worth. Thank you very much. And also, we've got the Grateful Fairy Wing store. As of today, until the end of December, for the whole month of December, our bracelets are $8 instead of $10. We're dropping them down a couple of bucks. They make great stocking stuffers, and we're dropping the price there because at Grateful Fairy Wings, we don't do Black Friday or Cyber Monday. We do all month long. So check it out. Don't forget to check it out. And you guys have a fantastic week. It's going to be a good one.